Hello again. This is Media Wench, Recoplex Media. Um, there's a thing that happened at the beginning of the year at the Shasta County Board of Supervisors. Surprise, surprise. Whenever they were going to elect a new chair. And there's one exchange that is half verbal and half nonverbal that I would like to shine a small spotlight on. Now, just to kind of bring everything up to speed here, we have Matt Plummer, who is the new, I think it's District 2 supervisor. We have Alan Long, which is the new District 4 supervisor, I believe. It might be reversed. I can't remember exactly. Corky Harmon, who new District 3 supervisor. And then we have Kevin Crye, District 1, and Chris Kellstrom, District 5. Kevin Crye has already been chair for the entire previous year, regardless of whether or not he was under recall. I don't feel like any of that matters. It doesn't matter. He was still chair the entire time. Chris Kellstrom is now the chair, the new board member with the second most experience that is sitting up there. Matt Plummer and Alan Long both have, at this point in the discussion here, expressed that they do not want Kevin Crye to remain chair and be chair for a second year in a row. And there's a lot of precedent that would press that is not an appropriate thing to do. Since Alan Long has been a police officer and he has sat on other boards and been chairs of other boards, been recommended that maybe him and, Kevin Crye could be vice chair, Chris Kellstrom could be vice chair, to leave a little bit of experience still available in those seats. And at this point, we have Corky, who is making a little speech about how he's coming to these decisions on his own without any kind of outside influence of who he thinks would make a good chair. While he is really honestly probably, as the words are coming from his mouth, he is thinking about what he is saying, I want you to watch very closely how Kevin watches him. Because you could see him in this speech that Corky is making. You could see Kevin, you could literally see him try to figure out and work out and decide how he is going to manipulate the situation. At one point, and I'm going to kind of spoiler alert you here, considering this was at the beginning of the year, you've had your chance. At one point, Corky goes to try to make a motion to nominate Chris Kellstrom, who has said several times he does not want to be chair. But if 3 people vote him in as chair, it's not up to him. He's chair. With Alan Long as vice chair. Now, smart viewer, we know that if Corky put forward a motion to make Chris Kellstrom chair and Alan Long vice chair, that one of them, Plummer or Long, would second it. And then it would be a 3-2 vote to make Chris Kellstrom the chair and not Kevin. But I want you to watch right here how Kevin manipulates and confuses Corky Harmon into rescinding any motions or seconds that he makes so that he can retain that seat. just, yeah, you just got to watch this.
And the short tempers and in everything that's happened in in this room in the last year or two, maybe longer than that, but you're right, Matt. My goal sitting here listening to everybody give their opinions and vie for positions was to make the best decision. That's what I'm always going to do, is try to make the best decision. I'm not saying I'm always going to make the best decision, but please don't think that I'm sitting here, have already made my mind up that I'm going to vote for Kevin for chair, because I hadn't. I kind of felt like it should be Kellstrom, just because the other three of us don't have any experience, and there's a lot coming at us very fast. See, I don't even like the clapping. It's like, sorry, but it's. I felt like it would have been really good if Kellstrom would have been the new chair and Kevin would have been the vice chair. But then you all think that's me trying to set up the trio up here again, and that's not true. It's about experience. I've sat in there with clerk of the board, Stephanie, and she's very. You want to know who should be running this whole thing? It's Stephanie.
Everybody thinks that's funny, but Kevin.
And her grilling, and I know she does that with all of us, trying to get us up to speed. And there's just a lot to it, a lot more than it seems like from sitting out there. I've been sitting out there all last year listening to this, and it's challenging. And I want to reiterate what Matt said. I want board collaboration. I don't want animosity even here on the board, because I didn't nominate or cue in at the right time and say the right things. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to say the right things at the right time, but I am going to be heartfelt, and I'm going to make decisions that I feel like are best for all the people, not just one side of the room or the other side of the room. That's the whole room ought to be clapping for that. So with that, what I would like to say is I would like to see, and I feel like, and I checked it out, I feel like Long would be the, am I supposed to be saying Supervisor Long instead of just, Supervisor Long would be the only choice between the three of the new incoming, because he's had some experience. I dang sure don't want it, because I would rather, I said I would do it, and I told Stephanie if I got put in that position, I would do it, because I'm here to do whatever I need to do and have to do. I'm thankful that I didn't get put in the queue here, or the nomination for that. But I think that Long would do a great job because of his experience on the school board. But like you said, there's a lot here that we got. It's like a train coming at you, and you're trying not to get run over. There's just a lot going on. And I think that what I'd like to do is make, can I still do I would like to propose that Kellstrom be chair and Kevin be vice chair. And I don't say that because I want this side of the room to retain control, or that side of the room. I say that because of the experience. I'm a businessman. Excuse me.
You see Kevin sitting there talking to Chris Kellstrom? You can hear Kevin clicking his pen. He clicks his pen through the entire meeting. That's how you can tell he's starting to get real stressed out. He's got that tell. When he starts clicking that pen, you know he's getting real either agitated, frustrated, nervous something isn't going to go his way. It's a tell. And you can tell that he's real nervous right here, that something's about to go down that he A, didn't plan for, and B, doesn't want.
Excuse me. I'll second that for board discussion.
Thank you.
So that way he can rescind his second. Not because he feels like that's something that he can support. He wants to be able to rescind his second. And right now, he's going to talk Corky out of what he just said.
Okay. Supervisor Plummer. No, you're in queue.
So I want to make one point, and then I was going to present a counter proposal as well. So on the experience point, I think there's two things to keep in mind. One is that for both Supervisor Kellstrom, Crye, and Harmon, you all got, won your election in November, certified in December, and a few weeks later you were starting. It's actually different for Supervisor Long and myself, who have had 9 months of knowing we're going in to prepare. And so the feeling of entering into office is quite a bit different, I would say. The second point on experience is that the things that we're talking about that we want to see change in terms of the decorum are actually not experience related. The experience is being able to talk through, call motions at the right time. And, I know Stephanie already prepared a script that we could read. So I don't think that is actually the challenge, but I do agree that Supervisor Long's experience there would, as a board chair at the school board, would help. My counter proposal would be that if Supervisor Crye is interested in this, is Supervisor Long for chair and Supervisor Crye for vice chair. That would allow us to have the rotation, but Supervisor Crye, you could continue to provide support as someone who has experience here if we as a board, which it sounds like we do, feel that that's helpful. And so I want to offer substitute motion as Supervisor Long as chair, Supervisor Crye as vice chair.
Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Mike.
Thank you. The buttons, I'm telling you. I think what we're facing here going forward is a skill set that can help restore civility within our community, help to restore respect and access. And those are skill sets that you have developed over a lifetime, and you have them or you don't. And as far as the board chair duties specific, yes, it's a lot of information. But I really believe, and I have had experience as a chair of a school board, granted a much different platform. However, the job can be learned quickly, I believe. The actual functioning of the chair, that can be learned fairly quickly. How to problem solve, how to kind of ease tension, how to do a lot of those resets. I think that those are skills that are very important for this board and our community going forward, so we can get back to problem solving. And
I feel like they had made Alan chair, that these Board of Supervisors meetings would be incredibly boring already.
a de-escalation, if you will, the ability to de-escalate hostility and work through things, I think that's critical. And those skill sets are not being referenced here in particular. So that is an area where I'm willing to step up and I'm willing to take this on. And I have, as everyone probably knows at this point, I have a 25-year law enforcement background. And we were trained in de-escalation. Did I lose? Oh, we were trained in de-escalation and problem solving and winding our way through the difficult police world and trying to get to resolutions without turning everything into a fight and without doing a lot of things that would cause a lot of acrimony and hostility. And we had a saying in the police world, it was, I appreciate that, but. And it was, you take the time to hear someone out so that they know that they've been heard and respected, and then, but we have to do it this way if that's where you're going with this situation. So I think civility and a lot of those, and de-escalation and some of those skill sets are critical for us going forward right now. And I hope that as a board, whether I'm the chair or whether Chair Crye is the chair, I hope going forward that we can have respect in our community and unity and start working on real problems that are affecting our community. And
it doesn't
work
happen.
Together.
Sorry, another spoiler.
We're all
alert.
neighbors. This is a team effort here. We all need to put down our individual identities, if you will, sometimes, and work toward a common good. And that's where I'm willing to step up and try to help with that. And I respect the other comments of our board, and so that's where I would weigh in with that. And I would ask that we consider, when we select the chair, that there are more than just job knowledge of this chair position specific. What skill sets will help our board and our community heal, and what will help us move forward. What skill sets will help do that? And that's my comment on that.
Supervisor Long, I appreciate that. And before we go to Council Larmer, I would just say, part of the thing last year, when you talk about de-escalation and some of that stuff.
So this is where Kevin is going to convolute the entire conversation to create confusion and then manipulate the conversation and the decisions, rescind things to get this back set up where he wants it, to where he's going to be chair.
I get that. But when you come into a situation where you have two supervisors giving money and working towards getting rid of you, and then
right, because that didn't happen to Modi, right? Because Les Baugh and Patrick Jones didn't participate fully in the Red, White, and Blueprint series in order to get Modi recalled, right? That didn't happen. No, Patrick Jones didn't bring in a billionaire from the other side of the country to donate money to his campaign, Crye's campaign, Kellstrom's campaign, and the recall effort to get Modi out, right? Well, they ended up with Tim Garman, so I guess they got what they deserved in that. I feel like,
and try and lead them. So I appreciate everything you said, but I wouldn't say offense. Like, I'm not offended. It's great to actually have this type of discourse, and I'm not angry. I'm not upset at all. It's just, I just want to make sure that you understand, like, the gravity of that situation last year and how much that impedes getting the actual work done. Council Larmer. Are we have to break for lunch?
No. So you, as a practice, you should have no more than 3 motions pending. You currently have 4. So at this point, I would ask the clerk to help you work backwards and take those motions off the table.
Okay, Supervisor Kellstrom.
Yeah, so, again, I want to reiterate, Kevin had 9 months of chairmanship,
no, he had 12.
Not a full year. The same people that are absolutely against this were part of the failed recall effort against him.
I wouldn't call it failed if you only beat it by 50 votes. Failed on a technicality.
We had 2 members of this board, which you guys on the outside looking in, the decorum is horrible. I don't think the decorum is going to change a whole lot if I become chair. And again, from the outside looking in, you weren't involved with a lot of the closed session items and the behavior in that room and whatever. So he was being undermined for the remaining of those 9 months that he wasn't under recall. So again, I stand by my motion. I think status quo is the best thing to do here. And a year from now, I will not be, I'm co-chair, so I should be chairman now. A year from now, we will know your 3 characters, your 3 voting, we'll know everything about you, and we'll know then to make a decision then. Right now, this is a fairly simple item, and, we've been on this now for half an hour.
No, it's not a simple item. This is the person who is going to make who's going to make most of the decisions on what is going to go on the agendas and what the focus is going to be on budgetary items, whether or not you're going to continue to bring forth a bunch of issues and presentations that have absolutely nothing to do with what your jurisdiction is. Like, that's basically what Kevin Crye did most of last year, regardless of whether or not he thinks that he did or didn't have those first 3 months in order to do his job as chair. The last 9 months, he still didn't do his job as chair because he spent so much extra time worried about elections and all kinds of other nonsense that the Shasta County Board of Supervisors just does not have jurisdiction over. So it's just, and we're 2 months into this year, and really nothing has changed.
So I would not feel comfortable voting for any of the 3 without any experience, any history, anything. So I would not support anything other than Chairman Crye right now. That was just my motion.
I'll second it. All right, so we'll take I guess we'll start backwards with Supervisor Kellstrom's motion. Then I believe the next subsequent motion was.
So, just to set the record straight, the the substitute of substitute of substitute of substitute made by Supervisor Plummer has died for a lack of second. So now we are on the substitute of the substitute motion, which was made by Supervisor Harmon, seconded by Supervisor Crye, to elect Supervisor Kellstrom as the chair and Supervisor Crye as the vice chair.
Here we go. This is good. Watch this. This is just insane.
That was Supervisor Harmon's.
Correct.
So, if they voted on this right now, Kellstrom would be chair. But instead, this is what Kevin does.
That one was. So the board discussion is.
So we got 4, right?
Yeah. So there's 4. So
The fourth one died for lack of a second. I do not have a second on that motion. So therefore, we would go to the one before it, which was made by Supervisor Harmon.
I think Kevin feigning confusion. He knows exactly what he's doing right now.
And seconded by you, Supervisor Crye, to elect Supervisor Kellstrom as chair and Supervisor Crye as vice chair.
I mean, so Supervisor Plummer and Supervisor Long. One of the things I think, if in this role, I mean, I'm totally open as chair. If you guys say, I know that's one thing that you said, Supervisor Long, about let's just have a board agreement that we're just not going to engage. We're going to say thank you. We move them on. Like I'm all for that. If we all stick to that, if we all do that. And then in terms of having the conversation about how long, whether it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I mean, for me, it's about efficiency, because even right now we have a lot of staff that's in here, and I like to keep the meetings moving. And when you have some items that need 1 minute, and I've never done one, but we did one because we know where people can state what they want and then move. That's the most important thing for me. Like, what I don't want to do is, and we've all shared our opinions, and I think that's great. I think the decorum is going to be set, honestly, by how we're going to be able, and again, you have people interrupting, and what you have up here is we're all going to be able to get the work done. And that's what's important to me, and I just want to, I feel like we're already at second base moving. I don't want to go back to the batter's box as a group.
Chair Crye, could I ask one question?
Absolutely, sir.
About Supervisor Plummer's motion failed for a second. Which motion was that?
So that was to elect Supervisor Long as chair and Supervisor Crye as vice chair. And I believe council's recommendation was that we only have 3 substitute motions. That would have been the 4th. So I'll look to council on where we go from here. But the current motion on the table was made by Supervisor Harmon.
Supervisor Kellstrom.
No, Plummer.
Oh, sorry, Supervisor Plummer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I would be ready to vote on that motion, and I would support that motion of Kellstrom as chair and Crye as vice chair.
Supervisor Kellstrom.
Okay, so ironically, the motion is to make me chair, and I would actually vote no on that because I don't really want to.
It doesn't matter, because 3 other people would vote yes, and you would be chair. But Kevin is going to pull some shit right here.
Be chair at this point.
Supervisor Harmon.
I need to call the question.
So there's only 2. There's only 2 choices that can be on the table. Is that correct?
There are currently 3 motions pending, and when the motions are made, we take them in the reverse. So here you'll take the 3rd motion first. If it passes, we're done. If it fails, you move to the 2nd motion. If it passes, you're done. If it fails, you'll move to the 1st motion. If they all fail, then you can re-enter the process of creating new motions.
Right. We had 4. We dropped 1.
One did not get a second, and in general, it's a good practice not to go over 3.
Council, could you describe briefly the 3 motions again so we can keep track of what was made?
So,
I have
so the 3 motions that currently have,
Stephanie Blanket. Stephanie, the clerk.
she can
give
do
them.
it.
So the motion currently on the table, as I said, was a motion by Supervisor Harmon, seconded by Supervisor Crye, to elect Supervisor Kellstrom as chair, Supervisor Crye as vice chair. The motion right before that was the substitute of the original, which was motioned by Supervisor Kellstrom, seconded by Supervisor Crye, for Supervisor Crye to be chair and Supervisor Kellstrom to be vice chair. The original motion on the table was made by Supervisor Plummer, seconded by Supervisor Long, to elect Supervisor Long as the chair and Supervisor Harmon as the vice chair.
I'm going to withdraw my second to Supervisor Harmon's motion. So if Supervisor,
So then we're on the motion.
So he just killed the motion to make Kellstrom chair. Because the next one, obviously, next one back isn't going to pass. Again, manipulating the outcome that he wants.
From Supervisor Kellstrom, seconded by Supervisor Crye, for Supervisor Crye to be chair and Supervisor Kellstrom to be vice chair.
yes.
And there was one other one, right, with Crye as chair, and I was going to be the vice.
No, that,
Didn't get a second.
no,
That didn't get a second. Okay.
correct.
So the two motions, the one we take first is Supervisor Kellstrom's motion, myself as chair, Supervisor Kellstrom as vice chair. Then the next motion would be Supervisor Long as chair, and I believe Supervisor Harmon.
As vice chair.
As vice chair.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll start to my left with Supervisor Long.
Supervisor Long,
No.
Supervisor Kellstrom,
Yes.
Hold on. Yes. Can you,
Supervisor Crye,
please sit down? Yeah, please sit down.
Supervisor Crye, Supervisor Crye,
Yes.
Supervisor Harmon,
Yeah, so this motion, yes. This motion.
So this motion is to elect Supervisor Crye as chair, Supervisor Kellstrom as vice chair,
Yes.
and Supervisor Plummer.
No.
Passes 3-2. Okay.
So, I just wanted to point out, I think that sometimes things like this, especially being the first meeting of the year, January was a tough year. And I think shining a light on things like this level of manipulation in order to ensure the outcome that is desired has no place in nonpartisan political positions such as the Shasta County Board of Supervisors. And yeah, I mean, here we have just one more example of Kevin Crye, pushing his way through to get the result that he wants. That's all I wanted to do, and thank you for checking me out. And again, Media Wench, Ecoplex Media. Check us out on twitch.tv/Ecoplex Media, and I'll catch you later. Bye.